Hey YouTube, I'm gonna start all of my videos saying hey YouTube just because that's how I used to do it when I was like 12 when I started my YouTube channel to begin with. But I'm here today to share some great news. I got into my #1 dental school, University of Maryland School of Dentistry. I'm going to be class of 2026. I feel like I have a little bit of lisp because I have my Invisalign in. But after talking to many people, I wanted to start doing this more on my YouTube channel. I know I don't really have much of a following, but you know, anyone sees this video and you know gets something from it, I think that it will be worth posting it. I also wanted to post here because I have never seen anyone with my kind of stats get into dental school, and so it was just not very hopeful for me, and it dissuaded me from applying to dental school for so long. So every time that I saw someone with a low GPA post about getting into dental school, it was always, hey, how to get into dental school with a low GPA or low science score or low DAT. And then it was always followed up by, I did a post-bac or I did a master's. And to me, that's not you really getting into dental school with a low GPA. That's you getting into dental school with a master's or a post-bac. But for me, I actually got into dental school with a overall GPA of 3.07 and a science GPA of 2.72. I did start a master's. I did start a post-bac this fall, but I submitted my application before I even started my post-bac. I have not submitted any transcripts from my post-bac, and when I interviewed, I didn't even mention that I was doing a post-bac. So I technically got into dental school without a post-bac. I had around 20 AA for DAT and 20 AA for, 20 total science score. I did have a 22 on bio and a 24 on Gen Chem, and those were my highest scores. I think I got 19, actually, my scores are right here. Let me just show you. Of course I can't flip my camera, so let me just take it off. I always have it on the fridge. I'll just read them out to you. So, let me see here. So I got, for the PAT portion, I got a 20. For quantitative reasoning, I got a 19. Reading comprehension, 19. Bio, 22. Gen Chem, Bio, 22. Gen Chem, 24. OChem, 18. And my total science was 20. Academic average was 20. So, I mean, I thought they were good scores. I mean, they're not super competitive. Like, I thought that they weren't enough to make up for my GPA, but I don't know. I just wish that I saw more people like this, you know, applying. And of course, it's not just like, you know, oh, you have a low GPA, low stats, and then do nothing else and to get into dental school. But I also feel like if you have a good application, a strong application, other than just your stats, your DAT score, and your GPA, then there shouldn't really be anything stopping you from getting into dental school, or at least applying, at least trying. Of course, if after many attempts, you know, of retaking the DAT or, you know, and not having a good GPA, then a master's and a post-bac program would be right to do. But I think that like having a low GPA alone or a low DAT score is not just that factor that's being looked at when dental schools are looking at applicants. Like a lot more dental schools are looking more holistically at students these days. I was actually an out-of-state student. Like, this is in Maryland, and I am a California resident, so I didn't even have like priority when it came to that. You know, and it's still, you know, I'm still here and I'm going to dental school in this coming fall. which is just shocking and a dream come true because I've been wanting to go to University of Maryland specifically and wanting to become a dentist since I was like 5. So I honestly think that it's about passion and drive more than it is about your stats. Because at the end of the day, you need to have the drive and the willpower to get through 4 years of dental school. And, you can have great stats and stuff and be able to study well, but then dental school in itself is just a lot of not just work on, academics, but also physical work when you're working in a sim lab. My hair is just not cooperating with me today. But I think that there's just a lot more that goes in. And if you're not truly passionate about dentistry, like, the workload won't seem worth it. I know some people or I've heard stories about people who went to dental school or medical school and then dropped out because it just wasn't what they were passionate about. Like, yes, they got the stats and they did the shadowing and they, had a lot of volunteer hours and their application was great, but when they were in school, that just wasn't what they wanted to do. And I think that that's something that you have to establish first, is that this is truly what you want to do and that you're willing to do anything to get there. I heard someone mention something about it's not if you get into dental school, it's when you get into dental school. And I think that's something to keep in mind, that if you are willing to do whatever it takes to get into dental school and however long it takes to get into dental school, you will be able to do it. My journey looked like I spent 5 years, I think it was, in community college. And then I transferred to UC Davis. I spent 2 years there and I graduated in 2019. So I took 2 gap years technically before I applied, and I'll be moving on to my 3rd gap year. I think that's how that works. And I worked in a lab for the first part of it, but I was unemployed for the last half. And, I think that taking gap years was super important to me. Like, I guess it's a non-traditional route, which to me, I don't really see how taking gap years really makes you any different as a student than the people who don't take gap years. I honestly don't think that it matters. If anything, I like that I got experience out working and really like getting more financially stable to be able to get into dental school. And I also think that 2 things that are not talked about enough is financially, that a lot of people who go to dental school come from very privileged backgrounds, and they, don't have to think about how it is to afford the DAT, because the DAT is so expensive to take. Applying to dental school is so expensive to take. It's like $200, $250 for the first school, and then like $100 after for every school after that. And the DAT is not cheap to take either. And you still have to pay for the study materials. And then when you get into dental school, there's the seat deposit, and sometimes you have multiple deposits for your seat. And so it's just a whole expensive process to begin with. And those who, don't have that kind of money, then don't end up applying to dental school. Even if they have the willpower and the brains to do so, they just can't because they can't afford it. And I just think that that's, there's so many people who have such potential that just gets shot down because they don't have enough money to do that. And I just think that's just not right. But for me, that's why I took gap years too, is that there's no way I could afford to take the DAT or to apply to dental school without those gap years. And also just like, I started a GoFundMe to apply to dental school because I alone could not afford to do that. Making minimum wage or doing, just even that alone and trying to pay rent in California is just it's just not easy to do. And another thing that's not talked about is like learning disabilities or mental disorders going into healthcare. I struggle with depression, like severe depression. And so motivation was really hard for me, and I was scared about how that would affect me and my outcome in going to dental school. But I think that the gap years also helped me figure out how to work around that. And I saw a therapist before, and I was on medication before, but I kind of narrowed down on how to study for the DAT. And now in my post-bac, I got to apply everything that I've learned from therapy and, my coping mechanisms and stuff like that to school. And I'm hoping that that kind of gives me, I wouldn't say an advantage, but I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it'll help me when it comes down to being in dental school. And still, like, my mental disorder is not going to go away. If anything, it has helped me be more compassionate for those who are suffering from the same thing and going through the same things and still wanting to go into healthcare. And then it's just such a taboo to talk about these things, or to, go into healthcare and have to deal with these things that other people may not have to go through. Of course, a lot of people suffer from anxiety and stuff like that, which is its own feat in itself. But I think those with severe mental disorders suffer more, and there are more severe, like there are mental disorders that are more severe than even mine. But I really don't think that that's a factor that should hold you back either. It goes into it. How much are you willing to do to be able to succeed and get into dental school? But in learning disorder wise, like, I had disability services in community college, university, and I actually reached out to get disability services for taking the DATA. That also is not talked about enough. That also is not mentioned when people are looking to go to dental school. It's just not talked about. Even healthcare field, going to medicine, whatever else it is. I just feel like these are things that need to be brought up and talked about, and I never saw that. And I see a lot of people about dealing with, I guess, anxiety, but not anyone suffering from anxiety disorder. But I don't know, just these are things that I think need to be brought up and talked about, and I'm hoping that at least maybe I can touch on some of those things. If not to be the first person to do so. I'm probably not, but it's hard to find other people like me, and I'm hoping that some of whoever's watching this can kind of connect to that on some level and know that I'm proof that it's still possible to do it, considering all of those variables. And I really hope to be able to share my journey on YouTube with everybody. And good luck to everybody who's applying this cycle, next cycle, taking the DAT, everything like that. Please feel free to reach out to me on any of my social media. I'm actually mostly on Instagram, so I'll tag my Instagram in the description, and feel free to message me if you need anything. I can finally have something to back the advice that I'm giving to other people. And I'm just so excited for the rest of my journey through dental school. And I'm not expecting it to be easy. The complete opposite. I'm actually terrified, but I'm really happy to be in a position where I'm terrified to go to dental school, or terrified of the workload mainly. But I'm just so excited for that, and I hope that I can look back at this video and be grateful and thankful for every person that has helped me and everything that it took to get to dental school, and that I can still remember this and be grateful for this, while I'm, suffering through all of the workload and the stress that is dental school. I don't think I'll ever stop being grateful for being in that position. Dex seemed to say hi. Anyway, I am gonna go study for finals. I had my lab practical yesterday, and I have the finals week coming up. And I have a final that's due on Monday, because today is Friday, and then I have a final that's due this coming Thursday, and then I'll be done. And then hopefully I will be able to go see my family and celebrate the success of getting into dental school. And I'm actually hopefully starting tutoring some students that are studying for the DET. On that aspect, I don't believe in charging for tutoring. I feel like it only benefits those who have money and those who don't suffer from a learning disorder or don't have issues learning. Because even those who are, people who don't have those kinds of issues don't need as much tutoring and don't have to pay for as long of tutoring sessions than those who are suffering from that or learn slow or anything like that. And of course, also that shouldn't stop you from applying. But that's just a tangent onto this. But it's just something that I've really learned to be passionate about being a tutor for so long. Anyway, I hope you guys have the best of days as I am, and I hope to talk to you guys later. Bye. Or I should do this. This is what I used to do to sign off. Anyway, bye.